Welcome friends, myself Professor Piyush Joshi, working as an assistant professor in Chemical Engineering Department of K.K. Wagh Institute of Engineering Education and Research, Nasik. In this video, we will discuss the different temperature measuring instruments, the introductory part. Before starting the measuring instruments, let us now discuss the temperature. Temperature is nothing but the degree of hotness or coldness of any substance. Temperature is a degree of sensible heat or cold expressed in terms of a specific scale. Higher the temperature, more is the kinetic energy, that is the fast movement of the particles in a substance. At higher temperature levels, the particle in a substance moves with a higher kinetic energy. Let us now discuss the importance of the temperature measurement. We know the different processing industries, as shown in this figure, require the proper monitoring of the temperature for a particular process to carry out in a proper way. So, the temperature monitoring is a major and important part in most of the process industries, as well as in many of the manufacturing industries. If we consider the second example, the thermometer is shown, which is used in medical clinics. Generally, this type of temperature measurement is required to measure the temperature of human bodies. We know that normal temperature of human body is 37 degrees Celsius. The third reason, we have to monitor the temperature of earth, and that is the need of time that we are discussing many times. Next is the recent reason why we require the temperature measurement to avoid the susceptibility of the coronavirus to our surrounding people. And that is why the temperature measurement in this COVID-19 situation is also important. So that is the latest example of temperature measurement. Let us now discuss the different temperature scales. The several scales and units exist for measuring the temperature. Most commonly used temperature scales are Celsius, Fahrenheit, and especially in science we require the Kelvin temperature scale. If we consider Celsius, Fahrenheit and Kelvin scale in a single figure as shown in this particular figure, the freezing point of water is at 0 degree Celsius in Celsius scale. It is 273 Kelvin in Kelvin scale, and it is 32 Fahrenheit in the Fahrenheit temperature scale. If we consider the normal body temperature of human, the normal body temperature, as I mentioned earlier, it is 37 degrees Celsius. If we consider in Kelvin scale, it is 310 Kelvin, and in Fahrenheit it is 98.6 degree Fahrenheit. And next point, if we consider the boiling point of water, it is 373 degree Kelvin in Kelvin scale. On Celsius scale it is 100 degree Celsius, and on Fahrenheit scale it is 212 degree Fahrenheit. So these are the same some temperature reference levels taken as freezing point of water, normal body temperature of human beings, and boiling point of the water. If we consider the temperature scale, in left hand side the content is given. The first column shows the Fahrenheit temperature scale, second column shows the Celsius scale, and third column shows the Kelvin temperature scale. First of all, who invented Fahrenheit temperature scale? The name of scientist is Daniel Gabriel Fahrenheit. In 1724, he invented the Fahrenheit temperature scale. He used brine at 0 degree Fahrenheit and used body temperature around 100 degree Fahrenheit. If we consider the different temperature as mentioned in this table, the boiling point of water is 212, as I already mentioned, in Fahrenheit. Body temperature of human is 98 degree Fahrenheit. The atmospheric room temperature is around 77 Fahrenheit. Freezing point of water is 32 degree Fahrenheit. Liquid nitrogen is available at minus 340 Fahrenheit and absolute zero is found out at minus 459 degree Fahrenheit. If we consider the Celsius scale, the Andreas Celsius found out the Celsius temperature scale in 1743. He used the freezing water temperature, that is 0 degree Celsius, and the boiling water temperature, that is 100 degree Celsius. So the 100 boiling water temperature, 100 body temperature in Celsius scale is 37 degree Celsius. Room temperature is 25 degree Celsius. Freezing point of water is 0 degree Celsius. Liquid nitrogen, if we consider, it is observed at minus 196 degree Celsius, and absolute zero is generally found out at minus 273 degree Celsius. If we consider the Kelvin scale, the Lord Kelvin invented Kelvin temperature scale in 1848. Since there are no negatives in this Kelvin scale, he started the scale at 0 Kelvin. If we consider the different temperatures such as boiling water at 373 Kelvin, normal body temperature of human is 310 Kelvin, room temperature, atmospheric room temperature is 298 Kelvin, freezing point of water 273 Kelvin, liquid nitrogen is available in Kelvin scale at 63 Kelvin, and absolute zero where there is no molecular displacement, and that point is in Kelvin scale is observed at 0 Kelvin. So on the bottom I have shown the conversion factors, okay, from Fahrenheit to Celsius, Fahrenheit to Kelvin, Celsius to Fahrenheit, and Celsius to Kelvin. Similarly, from Kelvin to Fahrenheit and from Kelvin to Celsius, conversion is shown in this particular figure. So, as I mentioned, the temperature difference between freezing and boiling point of water in Celsius scale is 100 degree Celsius, whereas on Fahrenheit scale it is of 180 degree Fahrenheit. So, if we take the ratio of 180 to 100, the conversion factor between Fahrenheit and Celsius become 1.8, and that is why in the formula for temperature in Fahrenheit we are adding 32 and to adjust the 0 point of water from 0 to 32 degree Fahrenheit, and the conversion factor in multiplication with temperatures in Celsius is 1.8, as I already mentioned or as I highlighted. So temperature in Fahrenheit is given by 1.8 times temperature in Celsius plus 32. Similarly, the Rankine scale can also be shown as shown in this particular formula. Let us now discuss the classification of the temperature sensors. The temperature sensors are generally categorized in three parts. First is the mechanical sensor. The mechanical sensors are further classified as solid expansion thermometer. Generally, the bimetallic thermometers came under this category. Second classification in mechanical sensors is liquid in glass thermometers. This liquid in glass thermometer further classified as the liquid containing thermometer containing non-wetting liquid such as mercury, and second is containing the wetting liquid such as propane, alcohol, toluene, etc. The third mechanical sensor can be used is the field system thermometers. In field system thermometers further classified as liquid field thermometer. Usually mercury in steel is used in liquid field thermometer, Second is the constant volume thermometer. In this constant volume thermometer, generally the gas can be used as field system, and last one is the vapor pressure thermometer. If we consider the next sensor is the electric sensor. Among electrical sensors, the first one is the thermoresistive type thermometers, which further classified as metallic resistance temperature detector, that is RTD, resistance temperature detector. And second type of thermoresistive type thermometer is non-metallic or usually semiconductor resistance temperature detectors. And these semiconductor resistance temperature detector are also called as thermistors. The second electrical sensor category is thermoelectric type thermometers. Usually the thermocouples came under this category. Thermoelectric, it denote the temperature change between two terminals lead to generation of electricity, and that is the theme behind the thermoelectric type thermometers. If we consider the thermoresistive type thermometers, the principal line is change in resistance with respect to temperature. The third one is the solid state temperature sensor, and last one is the quartz thermometer under the electrical sensors for temperature measurement. Next measuring category is the radiation sensors, generally called as pyrometers. There are two types of pyrometers, as I mentioned here, the total radiation pyrometer, and second is the selective radiation, also called as optical pyrometer. Let us now discuss the mechanical temperature sensors first. The mechanical temperature sensors working on the principle of a change in temperature causes some kind of mechanical motion, typically due to matters such as solid, liquid and gases. They generally expand or contract with change in temperature. We are using this principle for mechanical temperature sensors. The mechanical motion generally due to volumetric expansion or contraction of material is read on physical scale to infer the temperature, and that is the principle lying behind the mechanical temperature sensors. If we consider the solid expansion thermometer, usually bimetallic thermometer use this type of solid expansion thermometer. The solids like liquid and gases also expand and contract in response to the temperature changes. When temperature increases, most of the solids expand in all dimensions as shown in the figure below. The length of that solid plate, solid or metal plate is increases, and the change in dimension is shown by delta L. Whereas the breadth or width of that metallic plate is also changing, and that is shown by this dotted line. So we are using this principle of expansion of metal with respect to temperature change, and if we if we reduce the temperature, the metal plate going to contract. We observe this type of principle also in construction of bridge and various materials also, such as the piping loops. We consider the thermal expansion of piping material, as well as in road construction we consider the expansion of the bridges due to the higher temperature, higher ambient temperature. We have seen that solids, particularly metals, change their volume with temperature depending on their coefficient of thermal expansion. The coefficient of thermal expansion is not same for all the metals. The temperature change around the bimetallic strip can be measured in terms of the free end deflection of the strip, and this is the underlying principle behind the working of the bimetallic thermometer. Let us now discuss the construction of this bimetallic thermometer. The most common means of exploiting the thermal expansion is through the use of bimetallic strip, where two strips of metal having different coefficient of thermal expansion are welded together along their length as shown in this particular figure. So the top metal is having low expansion coefficient or low coefficient of thermal expansion, and that is K1, whereas the metal at bottom is having the high coefficient of thermal expansion K2. So K2 is higher than K1. In simple straight form, the bimetallic strip is fixed at one end as shown in this figure. This left hand side end of the bimetallic strip is fixed and it forms a cantilever beam, with the other end is free to move. So that is the construction principle behind the bimetallic thermometer. Let us now discuss the working of bimetallic thermometer. Since two strips of metal having different coefficient of thermal expansion, that is the expansion per unit length, per unit temperature change, the metal having high coefficient of thermal expansion expands more in length than the metal having the less coefficient of thermal expansion. Since these two metals are bounded in a cantilever beam form, as temperature around the bimetallic strip increases, the strip bends towards the metal having the low coefficient of thermal expansion. This free end deflection of the bimetallic strip is directly proportional to the square of temperature change and inversely proportional to the thickness of the metallic strip. This free end deflection is coupled with the pointer that moves on the temperature scale. The free end deflection increases with the increase in length of the strip to get the large deflection for small temperature changes, and for this purpose the long bimetallic strip is arranged. The length is computed by considering the coefficient of thermal expansion used in the manufacturing the bimetallic strip. Also, the thickness of the bimetallic strips are also considered, and desired temperature scale and desired temperature range would also to be considered while designing the length of the bimetallic element. The different working substances that can be used in bimetallic thermometer is usually Invar. Invar is usually employed as metal with low coefficient of thermal expansion. Its temperature coefficient of expansion is around 1/20th of the ordinary metals. As high expansion metal, the brass can be used at lower temperatures, and nickel alloys can be used for higher temperature services or higher temperature applications. The metal used in bimetallic strip are usually low expansion metal Invar. Invar is alloy of 64% iron and 36% nickel, and high expansion metal generally we use brass nickel and nickel molybdenum alloys. The temperature range for which we can use the bimetallic thermometer is usually from -75 degrees Celsius to 540 degrees Celsius. This range is restricted by creeping or stressing effect at higher temperatures. If we consider the possible arrangements of bimetallic thermometer, we can use the spiral bimetallic thermometer also, as shown in these both figures. In this arrangement, the bimetallic strip is fixed at one end, as shown in the figure. It is fastened to the case, and the bimetallic strip is wound such that the turn diameter goes on increasing, as shown in figure, with respect to temperature. As the temperature around the bimetal spiral, the coil gets tightened or wounded, and this causes the movement of the pointer, which is calibrated in terms of the temperature. And obviously this free end movement is coupled with the pointer. The second possible method to accommodate the bimetallic element for thermometer or for temperature measurement is by using the helical bimetallic element. The helical bimetallic element of Invar and copper strip, as shown in this figure, is helically wounded over the longitudinal axis, and the another end of the bimetallic element is connected by gear pinion assembly to the pointer. As the temperature around this bimetallic element increases, the free end is deflected and it causes the movement of the gear pinion, and finally the temperature is read out on the temperature scale, on a calibrated temperature scale on a bimetallic thermometer dial. This is the detailed figure of the helical bimetallic thermometer. So this is the pointer, as I show you, I am pointing out. This is the sliding bearing for coupling the movement of the free end to the pointer. This is the rotating rod for producing the couple in the free end and the pointer. This is the cylindrical pin pressed in stem for connecting the rotating rod and helical bimetallic strip, and this is the helical bimetallic strip. The bimetal connected pin is connecting the cylindrical pin and helical bimetallic strip. To protect the bimetallic element from the corrosive or any reactive environment, we can put this bimetallic element in a steel case. It is called as a stem. The bimetal is connected to the rod at the bottom, as shown here, to make it as a cantilever beam, and free end is deflected at this certain point. Construction. The bimetal is wound in the form of helix with one end fastened permanently to the outer casing, as I already mentioned in figure, and the other end connected to the pointer stem by a connecting pin. A pointer is attached to the upper end of the stem and sweeps over a circular dial to indicate the temperature. A thermal veil, as I already stated, may be used with the thermometer for protection against the corrosion, and possibility of breakage are neglected. The material for the thermal veil may be stainless steel, brass, or any other alloys can be possible. It generally depending on the requirements in the installation area. The dial is sealed with dry gas assembly, silicon fluid in the stem around the coils that dampens the vibration, minimize the vibrations, and accelerate the heat transfer between the stem and bimetallic element. The size of dial may vary from 50 to 125 mm, with stem length up to 600 mm. When the temperature around the whole stem changes, the bimetal helix expand and rotate at its free end, thus the turning the inside stem and pointer to a new position on dial. The calibration of bimetallic thermometer is generally by inserting in a fixed temperature bath, and its response is compared with that of the standard thermometer immersed in the same bath. The calibrations are marked for different bath temperatures, and then the temperature scale on a dial can be prepared. The performance characteristics are as follows. The static characteristic first one is the accuracy. The accuracy of this thermometer is plus minus 1% of the span if installed properly. Let us now discuss the ambient temperature effect. The ambient temperature has very little effect on the accuracy provided the bimetallic element is well immersed in a hot bath or application area. The second effect is immersion effect. If bimetallic element is not immersed properly in the hot bath, then the heat conduction takes place along the thermal well to the outside, and this causes decrease in well temperature, and obviously the reading is also reduced. To avoid this, thermal well should be immersed properly and exposed part of thermometer should be well insulated from the well. Third effect is of radiation. The hot thermal well delivers heat to the cold bodies around it, and it receives heat by radiation from comparatively hot bodies around the bimetallic thermometer. This changes the temperature of the well and hence the reading on the bimetallic thermometer. This effect can be avoided by providing the radiation shield around the bimetallic element or bimetallic thermometer. The second static characteristic we are going to discuss is reproducibility. The factors affecting the calibration drift are usually the thermal and mechanical stresses developed in the bimetallic strip, and second is the fatigue and creep of bimetallic strip at higher temperatures. The third static characteristic is the sensitivity. It decreases with the start of friction in moving elements such as the connecting rod between the bimetallic element and the pointer rod or rotating rod coupled with the pointer. So friction in these moving parts decrease the sensitivity of the bimetallic element. The dynamic characteristic, if we consider, the speed of response usually depend upon the surrounding condition and characteristics of the ambient fluids. The time constant is large in moving air than in moving liquid. So with this I conclude here the working of bimetallic element or solid expansion thermometers. I hope friends you like this video, and if you like, please like, share and subscribe my channel for the notifications on my YouTube channel. Thank you very much.